Hi there, and welcome to the Surviving Trauma Stories of Hope podcast. This week, I am joined on the podcast by the all-inspiring Ana Lennyr. Ana is a life strategist specializing in relationships and parenting mentoring, as well as an antidepressant expert. Ana believes that by addressing the root cause which holds people back, she removes any and all excuses and replaces them with reasons and opportunities. Ana went through hardships herself, and she now uses her experience to help others. What makes her so unique is that she combines a teacher, psychologist, and parent experience with her antidepressant expertise. Ana has changed teens and adults' lives in subtle ways without lecturing, confrontation, or therapy. Her philosophy is simple: master the game of life so you will never be trapped in pain and hurt again. In this episode, Ana and I chat about overcoming depression, and we look specifically at depression in children, teens, adults, and mentoring for parents. This episode is very educational and can provide valuable insight into how to deal with depression. If you need guidance other than listening to this episode, head over to her website and download some free resources. Ana's energy is infectious, and I could tell during our conversation how passionate she is about the work that she does. I was also close enough to see just how big Ana's heart is. As always, thank you to my listeners for joining me on this journey. Comment on the posts on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and let me know what you think of this episode. Also, be on the lookout for my forthcoming book, Ray of Light, expected in May 2022. As always, stay tuned and keep listening. Hi, Ana. Welcome. I am so honored that you are joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me, Marlene. You are phenomenal. Thank you for inviting me, baby.
How is Chicago?
We're getting back to the real world. Nobody wants to stay in the basement locked up anymore. So
Yes.
I'm hoping
the pandemic has just been a lot, huh?
Yes, we've been a lot, and yeah, it's getting depressive. I'm just kidding. Let's fix it.
Yes, and I'm glad you said that, because that's what we're going to address today. Exactly. Talk about depression and how to get over it. And I think the world needs this episode right now.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I was just going through the work that you do, and you have helped so many people and changed their lives. And I was looking at all of the testimonials. They're so beautiful and so positive. And I know that one of the things about doing the work that you do and really spreading your light and helping others, it takes a complete journey to get to that point. Do you want to share what your journey and circumstances was that led you up to being this phenomenal person that you are today?
Okay, so you want to hear my sad story. Everybody wants to hear my sad story. I'm like, why? All right, here we go. So I was born in Romania, in an Eastern European country, about 40-something years ago. I'm old, okay. And at that time, that country was in a lot of suffering. Right? Everybody was some kind of alcoholic, some kind of depressed, some kind of something out there, right? So I lived like this in a single motherhood situation, which at that time was big shame. I mean, now we see single motherhood as a very different than we used to see it 40 years ago. Let's face it, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
She was a famous teacher in town, but she was also an alcoholic. And this brought me into a certain duality. Should I be proud of my mom because of her accomplishments, or should I just be ashamed of her because she's an alcoholic? So living like this, around the age of 19, I became suicidal. I couldn't sleep for about 2.5 years of my life. I had migraines, fibromyalgia, back pain, S-shaped scoliosis, all kind of things that the child should not suffer from. And I became suicidal 19 and a half. Then I realized that I have a problem. I need to go and solve it. So I went to university to study psychology, because at that time, education was the place to go, right? I mean, how would you fix yourself? Just go to university, learn, apply the stuff, and things like that. So today I joke that I got into university as a chicken. I came out as a cow with a lot of books in my belly, but no skills to help me.
That's interesting.
I
I've
came
never
out
heard
as
that
a cow,
before.
a lot of books in my belly. Yeah. So I was actually not able to pursue the profession. I was not able to pursue the profession because I said, I'm as suicidal as my clients. What we gonna do? Meet on top of a bridge? Who jumps first? Like, this is not a good idea. Right? So
Yeah,
exactly. I'm like, no,
yeah.
I'm not
Misery
doing
loves
this stuff.
company.
It doesn't work, right? So it was phenomenal because I finished with like scholarships. I was an extremely good student and zero skills, right? My mom died in the meantime. I was 26 when she died. We blamed it on the alcohol at that time, to find out just about 12 years after that it wasn't only the alcohol.
I'm sorry.
So I found out at the age of 38, I have a specific gene connected to depression and 33 types of diseases and cancers. And I also find out that I have the same diseases as my mom died from overnight, except that I was 38 and I was a single mom with a 9-year-old home. So at that time, I had fibromyalgia, 2 hernias of disc. I could barely walk from the couch to the bathroom. I had NASH, non-alcoholic liver hepatitis. I have this particular gene that could kill me in one night, very simple. And I had prediabetes, all at the age of 38.
38 years old. That's a
Yes.
lot. I mean, you must have been very depressed thinking about all these things are happening to me. Why?
So my son was carrying me from the couch to the bathroom most days. A
But how
9-year-old
old
child.
was he?
18,
9.
yeah, almost 9, 8.5, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So
What a responsibility, huh?
exactly. And my doctor keeps sending me, because I had 2 hernias of disc, she kept sending me at surgery. And I was like, you kidding me? They asked me to sign that I have 50% chances of ever walking again after surgery. Do you want my child to push a wheelchair for the rest of his life? I can't do that. So these were the things that they woke me up, that I need a different road, a different strategy, a different way.
Yeah.
And because I have tried everything, I realized that I can't do it by myself. I just can't.
Yes.
And I looked for mentors to help me. I found 4 mentors. I spent almost $500,000 on mentorships, okay, that I didn't have, that I borrowed.
Yeah.
And in 7 months, I was out of depression. I was climbing a mountain in Capri by myself. I had no more pain in my back. I lost 85 pounds. I was super happy. I was laughing in the car while driving, and my son was just, jumping around in the car seat. I'm like, Mommy, I'm happy. Why? I don't know.
Oh.
And everything has changed in just 7 months.
It's like a huge transformation in your life and in your son's, because even he's bouncing in the car going, I'm also feeling what you're feeling.
Well, this is it. This is what we're doing today when we're explaining to people. When the parent is happy, the child is automatically happy. You don't have to do any work for the child. All you have to do is get you out there, right? So today I teach this formula, exactly how to overcome depression, the exact formula. And yes, it is an accelerated formula because you get out of it in less than 7 months, right? It's a lot of work. It's a time consuming, but we have it all to a science on the computer. So you don't have to go to resort where you spend $80,000 for 10 days. You don't have to take time at work and worried about who I'm going to leave my kid with, which babysitter and the dogs and stuff like that, like I did for 7 months. So we had it up to a science for adults that were depressed, because we have that category. And then we have parents with children with difficulties. Angry, withdrawn, depressed, shy, not listening, disobedient, video games. And those are signs of early depression in children, right? So we have two categories.
Okay.
We have like the company split in two. One of them, we overcome depression. One of them, we prevent depression. So these kids won't end up like me, destroying their lives.
Okay. So, I mean, let's just talk about that now, about your methodology and how that would work for a client. And I mean, let's start with that of a child, because I mean, you've helped approximately 850 teenagers and adults through the work that you've done to successfully transform their lives, right? And reach their true potential. So when they sign up for the methodology that you offer and the help that you offer, how does that work for a client that has childhood depression?
So the first thing that the people who have any kind of depression, childhood depression, depression after heartbreak, after divorce, because they are, different types, but it's the same depression, it's the same pain, right?
Yes.
The same thing that the first thing that they're missing is skills to insulate them from depression. I'm not joking. There are people who have skills and they never get depressed. And others like me, that we've never had these kind of skills and nobody was able to teach it. Just to give you a short example, when my mom has died, I couldn't go to her funeral because I was planning to kill myself at her funeral. And I was planning for both of us to be buried. This is the amount of pain that I felt at that time. My girlfriend, that she was my girlfriend from high school, she lost her mom approximately 6 months after I lost mine, right? And I was like crying for 6 months, the guilt that I couldn't save mom, the guilt that I didn't go to the funeral, all of it, came over me. So my girlfriend, about 6 months after I lost my mom, she lost her mom from cancer. And I called her, it's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You must be in a lot of pain. And she said, no, I'm not.
That's strange.
I said, what? No, I'm not. And that was like, what's going on? It's like, listen, I am pregnant. I have a child to take care of. I buried my mom. I went to her funeral and I told her, honey, I'm sorry. I cannot cry. I cannot grieve. I have a child to worry about. And it's where her suffering stopped. I said, how did you do it? And she's like, what do you mean? I think it's normal to take care of my child, considering that I'm pregnant. No. I'm not blaming you. I don't say that's not normal. I think that's great. But how did you do it? She's like, I don't know. That's normal. That thing I was not able to do. I was not able to switch into, I have a life to take care of, not to cry for years for somebody that's already gone. These are skills. These are skills that we don't have. That's why we're slipping in depression. And these are skills that will insulate you out there to understand that, hey, there's some priorities. Okay, so I suffer, fine, but there is a limit. There is not like,
I agree.
I'm dying with a person that already died.
Grief is so overwhelming and sometimes does also lead to depression. But
exactly.
It's also transient, I guess, in many ways, right?
Yeah, so this is the first thing we teach. Skills to insulate people from depression. And the first level of skill is relationship skills. There are 4 types of men and 4 types of women in the world. There are dynamics between them. Most people don't know. They think that somebody came into their life, they stayed 2-3 years with them. Oh, that person hurt me. No, that person has different values, has different expectations, has different way of thinking. So this is the first thing we teach. There are 4 types of men, 4 types of women. This is it, okay? I know you think you're special, but you're going to only meet one of the 4 types of men and women in your family, in your kids, in your mother and father, in your coworkers, in your boss, in your relationship, in absolutely everything, right? So the first thing we teach is that each of these types has its own values, way of thinking, expectations, right? And then you don't feel offended because they don't want what you want. You don't feel neglected.
That's true.
You don't feel heartbroken. Man, we're just a different person that wants something different. There is one type of man and one type of woman who is not interested in family. They don't care about family. So don't be so heartbroken just because they either left or they don't want to marry you. Sorry, we're not interested in that. You have to understand that this is the type of people that are in the world. You can't change that, right? So this is the first thing we teach. The relationship skills are very, very important, because if you don't make peace with your mother, with your father, with your spouse, with your partners, okay, you're going to be in a non-stop suffering mode. Non-stop suffering mode. It's like it's never ending. It's like somebody always comes
Right.
and attacks you, right? So I tell everybody, you need to master the game of life by building amazing family relationships. If you have an amazing family relationship, there is no way in hell you're ever going to get depressed. Ever.
Yeah.
Because everything comes from that little cell until actually the age of 25. It's a cycle. Until the age of 25, you went a full cycle and you made a model of a world. And if you saw pain, suffering, relationship that don't work, aggressiveness, anger, all kind of issues, you think that this is how the world looks like. And you'll take that 25 years and you duplicate it twice. And here is how you lived your life messed up.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like a carbon copy, and then that you've learned, and then you apply it to the life that you now live, instead of making that change and having that awareness and saying, I can end the suffering. I can change the way things have been done. There's a new way that things can be done that does not lead to depression.
Exactly. So this is the first thing we teach. The second thing we teach is emotional skills, because everybody suffers from worry, anger, and anxiety. And most people do not know that anxiety is a symptom of depression. So it starts with little fears, and then it just overwhelms you, and it keeps you in a state of
It does.
nonstop fear, right? And the third thing that we teach as skills to insulate you from depression is mindset traps. There are about 17 mindset traps that keeps us in suffering. A lot of them are learned, and a lot of them are societal. So we learn it from society, that before we take care of ourselves, exactly like you're doing as a love coach, we need to sacrifice for others. What do you want to sacrifice for others when you can't even sustain yourself on this planet emotionally? You first have
Exactly.
to learn this, and then the sacrificing mode, which I call the mini Jesus trap.
That's
Okay.
interesting. How does that work? This mini Jesus trap. Tell me about that.
So the mini Jesus trap tells you that we all have to be some kind of Jesus. Okay. We all have to sacrifice for others. We have to do everything. Okay. And you cannot pour from an empty cup.
That is true. You cannot.
When you are drained, when you're depressed, you want to help others. And I tell people, how? You don't even know how to overcome it yourself. How are you going to take others? What do you think? I'm just going to be there for you. I was like, oh, okay, so misery loves company. You're just going to stay all in misery, and you're just going to share sad story. How about you getting out and coming back and sharing your success story? Do you think people would love that? Would
Yeah.
like to hear that? That they have a choice not to stay in the hell of depression?
Yeah.
So this is the first thing we teach parents, adults, anybody that any type of slipping into anger, anxiety, depression, worry, have these skills. Have these skills to never go back to hell. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you're already in depression, we're talking a different system, but we start with this. We start with these skills of never being hurt. And you will be surprised, even in families where I help out. And my youngest customer was 6 years old when I started working with him. In 3 months, we succeeded to get him out of depression. He was talking about dying since the age of 4. I'm still working with the mother. The mother is also depressed, of course, and the mother is in it's like a 6 months journey by now. And she's she's almost done. She's like in the last stage of depression that we need to work on. She's quite resistant, but the kid is fine, right? And the father, for example, has these skills of being insulated from depression. So thank God he was not slipping in, because a lot of times all the family members slip in, right? He had these skills, and I've been working directly with him to pull them out, because he's my control out there, right? He's in the house, right? He can tell me the truth, not hiding things and things like that, right? So,
Yes.
but most people in the family, they all go back into the hole together and try to pull them out if you can. Okay, it gets longer and harder, and the kids usually come out the fastest ones. You'll be shocked. People at the age of 74 and at the age of 6, they come out of depression fastest than everybody else. And I ask why. The kids listen way more than the adults. And the older ones, they say, listen, I don't have time for this crap. I wasted my life in this. I want to live happy for a couple of years before I die.
Yeah.
We are in the ages 40s, 50s, 60s. We are the most resistant ones to this, right? But it's just absolutely amazing how with the right formula, you can do this. Anybody can do this.
Yeah.
And we don't have to suffer. And that's something that nobody ever told me.
Wow. I'm thinking about kids that have depression at 4, at 7, at 9. What advice do you have or guidelines do you have for the parents to address this sort of issue at home?
So in the case with a child being depressed at that age, there is some other member of a family who is hiding their depression.
Okay.
I call them warriors. So in this case, my son was depressed because I was depressed. And he took that energy. He thought that this is normal to be sad, right? In the 6-year-old, for example, he took the depression from the mother. Unconsciously, of course, no mother wants to give any depression to the kid, right?
Yes.
But a fake smile, it's a fake smile.
Yes.
Pretending you're happy, the child will see it. It lives right there in the house with you. You can pretend that to work for 5 minutes and then come home exhausted because you just wear the mask.
Yeah.
But the truth is that when you are in a family environment, it is noticeable, right? So there is somebody else in the family, an adult, that holds that or hides that, or how should I say, avoids to consider that they're depressed. They're in some kind of denial, saying that, oh, I'm fine. So this is why we work with that person. This is why we address that person first. The kid is easy to snap out. But if we snap out the kid and that person still stays there, they just going back in. And then they don't trust us anymore. They said, oh, we tried this game before and it didn't work. Yeah. And then more you try and you fail, more you don't believe yourself that you can get out, and more you stay in.
Yeah. But I love that you address the environment,
Yes.
Not only the individual, but also the environment. You're looking broadly and more holistically to say, let's look at the environment that you are in, and let's look at the others that you interact with every day. And you actually address it as a unit. Brilliant.
Yes, because pain is energy. Okay?
Yeah.
When you're happy, everybody is happy around you. If I go here in Chicago at the store and I go one time and I order something, we have Subway here. So let's say that I order a sandwich, right? And I go to a store that I don't know anybody. And I go in and said, hey guys, how are you? Oh, you made such a good sandwich. The sandwich is the same everywhere, okay? But I'm just laughing and joking. After 4 to 5 weeks, I go and test it. It's like, okay, let me go at the same time. Let me go at the same hour. So they're the same people because they're working a schedule, right? In the same store. Everybody knows my order. Everybody knows my order, right? Just because they haven't seen that energy of explosion, of happiness, of laughing, of being loud, right? They've never seen that. And they're mesmerized. And I come through the door. Oh, ma'am, how are you? We were waiting for you. No, you weren't. Okay. Of
But
What's
they
you
also
want,
feel
right?
happy. They
I
also,
know your
because it's
order. I
infectious.
know your order. I forgot one thing. Do you want this more or less? Because I forgot that one. Okay.
Yeah.
These kind of things, that's how you test energy. So I would suggest everybody out there, go and test it. Go and be super happy somewhere and see how people just come towards you like you're a magnet, right?
Yeah.
And many people tell me, it's like, you're the happiest person I ever seen. I'm like, you do realize I'm your depression coach, right? And this is pathetic. I'm the happiest person you ever met or you ever seen, right? You do realize it's pathetic, right? But
Yeah.
well, okay, let's keep on going.
Mm-mm.
It's true,
It's
Marlene, it's true.
it's true. But the thing about depression, and I mean, I know depression from my own life, my own experiences, and I was is that it comes and goes, and I hear that you have these tools that you teach, and so the tools that you teach is basically for someone to have that self-awareness, because in my own experience, I may feel depressed and low, and I'd have to really dig myself out of a hole, but then I'll be fine and I'll be good for a long time, but then it will happen again. So it comes and it goes depending on where I am and what I'm doing in my life.
That's
So
exactly why, if you would have these skills to insulate yourself from, you cannot slip back in.
I
You
see.
see why we
Okay.
start with this?
I see.
We start with this so we don't keep failing.
We don't go back in and out, in and out.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And of course, everybody feel down moments, but then you're with yourself. It's like, okay, what lesson I didn't get? What more healing I need to do? Because you have the skills. Why do I feel offended? Because somebody just hang up on me. Who knows what problems they have? Has nothing to do with me. Right. So, but once you have those skills in your tool belt, you go and you fix it. It's
Mm-hmm.
your tool belt.
Yes, and I mean, let's talk about those tools, that the listeners can use in their lives, because I want those tools now. I've had to dig myself out recently, and it took me a while. I could have done with your skills. So yeah. So share with us, what are these tools
So,
that we can put in our tool belts?
so there are 5 levels of pain. So this is what depression is. Everybody thinks has something to do with mental, but actually has to do with emotional wounding. Depression is deep, heavy, and unresolved emotional wounding. And there are 5 wounds of depression: rejection, abandonment, humiliation, betrayal, and injustice. All of them have different ways to heal from, right? For example, rejection will give you on the long term cancer. It will give you sexual problems. You can see that in shy kids, very thin. They don't want to take space. They want to hide all the time. They want to be invisible.
Yes.
But actually, they don't want to be invisible. They want to be seen. It's exactly the opposite. It's just because they have a lot of shame behind them. They don't know how to make that happen, right? So it's where I tell people, wear red. Get out there on a stage. It's okay if you mess up. Go start singing. Don't hide from the world, because you are only hiding from your potential. You're only hiding from everything good that comes towards you. It doesn't know where to find you. It's not going to find you under the table or in the basement. You need to go and get what you want in the world. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of tools, when you feel that, oh my God, I don't want to be seen. I don't know. Why? What am I ashamed of? Well, I'm ashamed because I'm too fat or too ugly. Like, okay, put some makeup on, put a better set of clothes on so you don't look so fat. Keep going. Okay, what's the big deal? All right? People have their own problems. Don't worry about it. All right. So here is, one thing that when you see people that are, I'm an introvert. Okay. Be an extrovert today. Give it a
But
try. One day a month, I'm an extrovert.
But if I'm
Okay.
depressed, I can't even bring myself to put makeup. I can't bring myself to do anything. you know?
Exactly.
And I
So
have a
these
rule.
are,
I say that on those days, I will allow myself only to do one thing. Just one thing. Whether that is writing an email or going for a walk or whatever, just one thing. But I'm not allowed to stay there forever.
you're still staying with your misery. You're still comfortable with that. So no, you do this for following, okay? If you identify that you suffer from this rejection thing and this is why you're depressed today, you dress in red
Okay.
and you go move your butt out there. So everybody will see you.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what you do. Okay? You make an effort. You don't stay in it.
Okay. So it's
Usually
the
when it's
effort
depression, we're
that you
talking
do.
about 3 of those 5 wounds minimum that I have
Mm-hmm.
mentioned. It's not only one, it's at least
Yes.
3. And when you're
Yes.
suicidal, they're all 5 at different levels.
Okay.
Okay. So humiliation or embarrassment is the
Mm-hmm.
other one, right? You see it in children who are being bullied. This in long term gives you problems being overweight, gives you problems with your pancreas, diabetes too, right? And you see a lot of people who, as an adult, are people pleasers. It's like they're always laughing, they're always, big guys, and they're always trying to help others, and they're damn hurt inside.
Mm-hmm.
So here is understanding that there is nothing to be embarrassed about, right?
Yeah.
Including your own weight. And stop being so nice and acknowledge, man, I'm hurt. I don't feel like being nice today. It's okay. It's all right. I can say no if I want to say no to somebody. I explain why
Yes.
I want to say no. Okay, maybe because I just don't feel comfortable today, right? But just by acknowledging and don't fake it, don't put the mask on,
Mm-hmm.
right? To try to defend from the world or defend from others. Understand that I have a humiliation problem that a lot of times is linked with codependency. So you're codependent on something, not necessarily only sweets,
Mm-hmm.
but you are codependent on maybe people, maybe a person in your life. Maybe you have a relationship like exactly like I had. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, if my mom is going to die, I am ready to die with her. By the way, I went through all of these that I mentioned right now.
But that is why I asked you right in the beginning. I know you said, do you want to hear the sad story? But that's it. You've lived all of this, and that's why you can shine the light and teach us
Yeah.
now.
The third one is abandonment. So you felt abandoned. For example, I was abandoned by my father. And when you are into an abandonment mode, you're like a warrior. You're always on the defense, always tensed up, always ready to fight, right? Somebody wants to hurt me. Oh, I got you, baby. Don't worry. Just make one move and I'll kill you. You become extremely loud. You're becoming either threatening, you're becoming the bully, right? Because you're in that mode of, listen, if I'm right here in your face, you're not going to be able to abandon me. You listen to me now,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the opposite of, I do not want to be abandoned. I want to be in people's face. I don't deserve that.
Wow.
So here we have a lot to work with the wound of blaming somebody because they abandoned you. And
Mm-hmm.
for a long time, I was blaming my father because he abandoned us. He abandoned my mom. He abandoned me, right? I never even met him for years. And at some point I said, if I would be in his place, would I want to live with an alcoholic?
Mm-mm. You're making
No,
different choices for yourself. And you doing it by acknowledging that wound and
exactly.
saying, I'm going to break this cycle.
Exactly. So here is, this blame game. But if you put into the other person position, you realize that things are very different. They see things very differently. And the moment when I did that, I said, okay, there is no reason for me to blame him,
Yeah.
even if I was
Yeah.
abandoned, right? Or I felt
That's
this way,
a big
right?
revelation that changed everything.
Exactly. When you are changing your relationship with the opposite sex on your father's side, let's say, or a mother's side, or depending if you're a man or woman, you're changing your relationship with all opposite sex.
Yes. Yeah. I
Okay.
get that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So if you have like woman like me that failed in 2 divorces and was abandoned by that, the moment you change that relationship with my son and my dad, I change the relationship even with my ex-husbands, not even with my present one, right?
Yes.
So all of it changed. All relationships are changing, starting with
That's
one,
beautiful.
right?
That is
And it's
beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are
Phenomenal.
the major ones. And the fourth one is also very important because that has to do with betrayal. It's very linked to the abandonment.
Yeah.
Okay. It's very, very linked to that. It has to do with betrayal. And people don't know. And I didn't know that. I found out, Jesus, after the age of 38, I found out. But actually, there are ways to heal from heartbreak in like a month.
I need that
Are
recipe,
you
please.
kidding me?
Thank you.
I suffered for like 20 years after my first heartbreak. I'm like, are you serious right now? It actually takes 5 days. It only takes 5 days to heal from heartbreak. You have to make 2-3 weeks
I
preparation for those five
Yes,
days.
please give to me and the
I'm not,
listeners
I'm
because
not
mine takes
joking.
months. My first heartbreak, my first love, it took months. So please, I want the recipe for myself and for my
For me, it
listeners.
took years, like 2 decades. Like, why did I suffer for 2 decades? What is wrong with me? Right. So we have a program specifically from healing from heartbreak. You're not going to believe it. We have a program specific for that because so many people need it.
But it's true.
Right.
It's true. I mean, if you think about heartbreak, you only experience what you feel at the time, and it's so emotionally driven, and it's this roller coaster that you're on with, as you sort of heal through this heartbreak, that is all that you know. And unless someone comes along and helps you and explains or sets an example of how you do these things, all you have is your own emotions and the way that you feel and how you've navigated it. And so, the next time you go through a heartbreak, it repeats. So that's why I really want to
But you
hear.
see, Marlene, if you have this emotional skills and the relationship skills we talked about at the beginning that insulate you from it, then you don't go over and over again over the heartbreak. You just heal it once and be done with it. So this fourth wound of betrayal, if you haven't had depression from childhood, it will definitely put you in depression during your lifetime. If you don't know the skills that we mentioned to insulate yourself from depression, this is why we start with that, right? Because that is your safety mechanism in never slipping back in depression. Because you can't just do this roller coaster all your life, up and down, up and down, up and down. I mean,
Yeah.
just look at this, okay? Nobody wants that. Okay.
But who wants that though?
Exactly.
I mean, we want peace in our lives.
Exactly. And what is the most magnificent part about this betrayal? Because we are heartbroken, right? And we feel betrayed, and somebody left us and doesn't love us and things like that. But we actually don't learn any lessons in that level of suffering. People are here to help you grow and expand. But because of a hurt and pain, you think they're here to knock you out, right? To kill you, to destroy you, to put you down, right? So this is why this level of betrayal, maybe it's one of the hardest one to heal out of the ones we mentioned, but it's the most important one because the truth is that a life without love is a very sad life.
I agree.
Instead of living to your true potential, instead of finding your light within, your true potential out there and purpose in life and everything, a lot of times you stay like this, afraid that somebody is going to come and hurt you. Locked in, all right?
Yeah.
Like in your own age, right? And yes, it is normal. A lot of people come to me and after 2 divorces, it's very normal. Said, I will never date again. Like, okay, let's get you some skills first. And when you make that decision out of if you need to, or if you don't need to, if you want to, or you don't want to, you don't make that decision out of fear of being hurt again. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's okay if you want to be single for the rest of your life and you want to concentrate on your love and career, whatever you want to concentrate on, right? On your kids or whatever. But don't make that decision out of fear of being betrayed again, of being left behind again, of being in heartbreak again, because that is taking off the energy that you want to give to the world in a different way,
Yeah.
right? That eats you from inside sooner or later,
Yes.
right? So these kind of things, we are raising awareness on the fourth one. And the fifth one, we call it perfectionism or injustice. And the fifth one is, yes, the hardest one to heal and the longest one to heal. Because when an injustice happened to you in your lifetime, it doesn't matter what it was. When an injustice happened to you, you need to make peace with yourself, with the universe, and with God, if you believe in God, right? You need to make peace out there. You need to take it as a lesson, as a test, as something that you had to accomplish. If you get stumbled into that injustice, you get lost. You lose yourself every day, piece by piece by piece by piece.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
We have clients who have been raped at a very young age, and some of them, they are ready to shut it off and said, okay, this happened to me. This is not who I am. It just happened to me and nobody hurt me. And other ones, but why, but why, but why? I'm like, just imagine that this was a challenge that you had to pass. This injustice happened because it was a challenge that you have to pass. Now you still have to pass it. You can't keep it on, right, forever and ever and ever, because it affects you, it affects your children. And maybe you don't understand why this happened to you, right? Maybe you don't understand why, a parent abandoned you at a young age, or somebody was killed in your family, right? But you need to make that peace with yourself, the people around you, God, the universe, whoever you believe in. Maybe there is a higher purpose out there that you don't understand. I tell people, and I tell even my clients, the death of my mother was the biggest lesson I ever received. I didn't get her message until 12 years after she died. But through her death, she told me that just because she can't overcome the depression part, that doesn't mean I cannot.
Yeah.
We had a client who was overweight, and he was healing from all these emotional ones, specifically the one with humiliation that we talked about. And it's connected to being overweight. And at some point, at the last step, I said, okay, now at the perfectionism and injustice level, you have to take action. I said, okay, but it's time to take action. It's time to find a diet, go through what you need to lose, okay? Lose weight. He was delaying it. He was dragging it. He was finding excuses. I'm going to get it back. I'm going to get some of my skin extra. I'm going to this. No, you're not going to get it back because you just healed the wound of humiliation. Okay. You're not going to get it back. Okay. You're going to have extra skin. Well, we lose the weight slower. Okay. So you won't have extra skin. Or something, they have surgeries these days when they cut your extra skin. Stop making excuses. Just get on an action plan. And he was delaying it and delaying it and delaying it. And his uncle died. And when he comes and calls me, he's like, my uncle died. Like, are you happy? Yes. Why? And then he explains, my uncle had the same weight as I have. Okay. And he died from complications from diabetes. At his funeral, I understood. But because I was still delaying with you to take action and lose weight and everything else, the universe gave me a great lesson. Here's what happens if you don't lose weight. You're going to die from complications from diabetes. I don't have diabetes by now, but I'm that close to it because I'm overweight. The only reason why I don't have these complications is because I'm not old enough like my uncle. I got out of that funeral. I hired a personal trainer. I'm going to go in a 30-day resort of water fasting. I'm on keto diet with no cheating. He went happy out of there. He just got the message.
Yeah. His point of enlightenment.
Exactly. And I said, well, I'm sorry for my uncle, but I think he saved my life.
Yeah. Yes.
So these kind of perfectionism and injustice is for realization that some, coach is pushing you, and you don't get it, and you don't get it, and you don't get it. And at some point, the universe comes and said, now you get it?
Yeah.
But to recognize these signs, Marlene, takes a long way, right? Takes somebody like me to push you to recognize these signs, to give you examples of, you don't have to be happy because your uncle died, but if that saves your life, yeah, damn, be happy. That saves your life. So these kind of stories, these kind of things, a lot of experience from my clients, I tell others because I feel that they need to hear it. So they won't find excuses. So they will see that they have choices, and action is going to get you out of depression. Not that thing that you mentioned, that I'm going to do one thing and I'm going to feel sorry for myself today. No, I'm going to dress myself in a red. I'm going to put makeup on. I'm going to be super sexy, get some high heels and move my butt.
I love it.
So everybody can see me. You know something? I'll do something else. I will go and dance on a grocery store right there. I'll put some music on my phone and I will do like this and everybody's going to laugh because they see me happy. And I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. And come back and heal whatever wounds I mentioned in whatever strategies I can. Okay? Because when you live in a pattern of being sorry for yourself, of being depressed, of being sad all the time, you think that's normal. Okay? Now I recognize that this is not normal. And I catch myself as like, what is wrong with me today? Let's put some happy music. Mm-hmm. Right? What do I have this down moment for? Right? And sometimes you need to identify it and heal it. And sometimes you just need to bypass it. Right? But it's very interesting how unconsciously we take these depression things on and we don't even realize. I looked at my son like a year ago, he started to do this. We get in the car and we put music from the radio automatically. You just click it, right? And I usually tell my son, listen, don't listen to all these commercials and stuff like that because we're not here to get brainwashed. We're here to listen to the actual music. So when it's a commercial, he clicks it to end it just because he doesn't want to hear all the talking, right? So at some point I saw that he's shutting down a song. And I said, it's just a song. It's not a commercial. Why do you turn this off? Mom, this song is depressive. So, oh, wow. It is? It is? Yeah, Mom, didn't you ever listen to it? I'm like, no, I actually like this song. Mom, this song is depressive. I liked the depressive song for years, and I didn't even realize it. No wonder I was depressed, man. So, you need to have that awareness of, hold on a second, what am I listening to? Who are the people around me? Why am I feeling down? Watch yourself until you succeed to get off that pattern of, being sad, depressed, down, okay? Until you succeed to jump totally off that. And then you recognize it like a kid who was depressed at the age of 8.5. And now at the age of 14, he recognizes depressed people, depressed songs. I'm like, you're a damn specialist here, man, already.
He learned from the best.
So this is why I teach parents to not stay in this cycle. I understand that all you saw is pain. But because they see that you only saw it's pain, it's easy to copy the same thing. Different kind of pain. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, or 3 emotional wounds or 5. I tell people, I don't care how many you have. There are only 5. I'll get you out of all 5. Get out of everything. So every time when something comes in, you know how to address it. You have those skills on your tool belt.
Fantastic. I love this. And I'm going to definitely hope that my listeners head over to your website, because I know that on your website, you also have some free tests.
Yes, we have a free map to overcome depression called the Secret Map to Overcome Depression. It's a small course of approximately an hour that tells you exactly the strategy, how to do this. And then we have a different course for ending young adult depression, because I'm very, very passionate about not having suicidal kids out there like I was. Soy, okay? These are all free courses. They're all free courses. We also have workshops right now online of how to have healthy relationships, about the 4 types of men and women we talked about, and all the emotional woundings and stuff like that. And also how to parent the teenagers, how to parent them properly. Because most of them, they feel misunderstood. And most times when somebody tells me that, oh, my parent doesn't understand me, I talk to the parent and the parent does not understand the child. The child is right. The parent doesn't understand them, right? And when I have to work with a parent, it's like, listen, you just don't get it. You don't want to get it, right? So things like that we do have a tremendous amount of resources, because we want to give people choices, not excuses.
That's wonderful. And I love that you make this available freely for those who maybe have some financial constraints, so that they have access to these resources. I am going to link your website in the show notes so that everyone who's listening can head over. Any last words of wisdom for the listeners before we close?
Well, thank you, Marlene. You don't even realize that you're saving lives with raising awareness with these kind of conversations. So thank you for being out there in the world.
Oh, thank you. You're going to make me cry, Ana.
That's not unusual in my business. Everybody cries for happiness or sadness or some kind of reason here or there.
My heart is full. Thank you so much for noticing. And even if I just reach one person out there, then done what I've set out to do. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining me, and, keep shining your light in the world and making the difference. And thank you for the work that you do.
Love you, Marlene. Thank you for inviting me.
It's been a pleasure. And I will catch up with you again soon. Take care.
Love you.
That wraps up this podcast episode. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy my podcast, please take a minute to give me a rating and review in Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast directory so you don't miss an episode. Please consider following My Centered Life on Facebook and Instagram for daily inspiration. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. You can catch me again in the next episode. Same time, same place. Sending you lots of love and light. Bye.